Hello, Jacob here. Yeah, so I've kind of calmed down a little bit from my last rant video, but holy moly. I I knew it was bubbling up, and this game, the Lions-Packers game, it just further proves the inconsistency of what's going on. Because at the end of the day, it's not about your best players versus our best players. It's more your best players with our best players, and how are the refs going to decide which best players get the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to, having two sides going at it and the referees just keeping it even. When anymore, it just seems like the refs are the game. It's like, oh, great, another flag. What's it going to be this time? Oh, it's another one. It's another one. And another one. And another one. And another one. I mean, for crying out loud, it seems like more and more. You can't go through a whole entire 10-play drive without at least having 5 penalties. And it's getting to the point where it's ruining the flow of the game. And it seems like every year they're adding new rules. And eventually it gets to a point where all of the refs that are on the field have to remember too much. Now, I will admit, safety is kind of a huge thing, because it's a very, very, very physical sport. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but football is kind of a physical sport. So it's obviously important to keep people safe, because at the end of the day, these are fathers, these are sons, these are brothers, At the end of the day, they're humans just like you and me, trying to feed their families and trying to, live a better life for themselves. And there's been countless things that have happened, suicides, deaths, whatever, from various football-related incidents and all that stuff. But again, personal life aside and all that stuff, just going back to the product on the field, it just feels like over the last few years, the product has downgraded. And as I've said before, I have a feeling it's to do with all of these penalties and what can and can't be challenged, what should and shouldn't be challenged. I don't know, part of me wants to kind of go back to the way it was, where it was just human error and that's the way it was. But at the same time, that's why we have the replay system. That's why we have all of these things in there, because it's supposed to make the game even. And again, with human element, human errors, all that stuff going on, that's why all that stuff was implemented, to get it right. At the end of the day, that's what we want the most, is to get it right. With a little bit of consistency and flow. Because if you're going to call a penalty, call it the same way both sides. And I feel like more and more that's becoming less and less of the case. It just kind of seems like, well, is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Is this something we call? Is this something we don't call anymore? And it's getting to the point where people are getting so fed up with what's going on that won't be too much longer here, and, well, who knows? Again, I'm surprised Goodell and the head honchos haven't done anything. And I'm just thankful that as a Vikings fan, I haven't had a lot of big calls go against my team. To be fair, it seems like poor Lions, and this is coming from a Vikings fan, the Lions get hosed way too much. I mean, Jesus. If you just look back at their history, feel bad for them. But again, we just want consistency. We just want a simple game that we can follow. And we know what's going on and why it's called and how it's called and all the safety that goes along with it. Because eventually soon, if this keeps going the way this is going and the XFL and other leagues start developing, you very, very easily could start seeing the NFL die. And die quickly. Which is why I was kind of hoping the AAF would have, survived, but yeah, that was a mess and a half, apparently. But yeah, I mean, as I said before, and I'll keep saying it again, this probably won't be the end of it. But all we want is consistency. All we want is to know what is a penalty, what isn't a penalty, and to call it the same way all the time. So yeah. There'll definitely be more on this later as things develop, but until we meet again, this is Jacob, and have a wonderful night.